Hi and welcome to Phi Academy. Today we are going to do factorizing quadratics. So we will be putting this quadratic into two brackets. So when we have the quadratic of this form only, so it's ax square plus bx plus c. The only variable here is going to be x and a power of x, that is x squared. We start off by working out what are the factors of 6. So the factors of 6 are going to be either 1 times 6 or 3 times 2. Now have a look at the number before the x. So it is going to be plus 5. Now which of these numbers add together gives me 5? So only 3 add 2 gives me the answer of 5. So those are the numbers that we are going to use. So we are going to first write down two brackets. So two numbers when I multiply should give me the plus 6, and when I add should give me a plus 5. So I'm going to write my x's here. So I can see that it has to be 3 and 2. So I'm going to write that down, 3 and 2. Because it is a plus 6 and a plus 5, I'm going to write plus sign in front of both these numbers. Now the best way to check whether our answer is correct, that is we have factorized it correctly, is to actually expand the bracket. So let us expand the bracket and check. So x times x gives me x squared, x times plus 2 will give me plus 2x, plus 3 times x gives me plus 3x, and a plus 3 times plus 2 is plus 6. Then collecting the like terms, plus 2x add 3x is plus 5x, then add 6, which is the question that we started with. So therefore our factorizing is correct. So let's move on to this question. Again we look at two numbers or factors of 6, and then we have to also consider the minus sign. First let's list out the factors of 6. So it's going to be either 1 and 6 or 3 and 2. Now it's a minus 6. So one of these numbers, when I multiply a positive and a negative only, I will get a minus 6. So one of these numbers is going to be a negative. So then let's look at the number before the x. It's a minus 1. So minus 1, or the difference, has to be a negative 1. Now when I find the difference of 1 and 6, I get a 5. So it cannot be this set of numbers, whereas the difference of 3 and 2 is 1. So let's find out whether we can fit this in. So let's first write down our two brackets, x, x. Two numbers multiplied together to give a minus 6. So it has to be 3 and 2. One of them has to be a negative. So how do we know which one it is? So that's why we have a look at the number in front of the x. It is a minus 1. So the difference of 3 and 2 has to be a negative 1. Only when the bigger number, which is 3, is negative and the smaller one can be positive, well, the difference will also be a negative, isn't it? So we will say x minus 3 and x plus 2. Again, you can expand the bracket to check whether we have got the correct answer. But if you did, you will end up with x squared minus x and minus 6. So let's move on to the next one. Again, I've started with a very similar question, but just changing the signs. So I'm going to start by listing out the factors of 6, 1, 6, 3 and 2. And here the difference is going to be 1, just plus 1. So it's not going to be this because the difference of 1 and 6 is 5. So it has to be 3 and 2. So let's put it into our two brackets. So x, x. So when two numbers multiply to give a negative, one of them has to be a negative number. So let me just write 3 and 2 here. Now which one is going to be the negative one? I know that the difference is going to be a plus 1. So therefore, the bigger number has to be a positive number, and the bigger number here is 3. So I'm going to write positive 3 there, and because the times together to give me a minus 6, the small one will be a negative 2. And that is how you factorize x squared plus x minus 6. A final worked example. Here again we start off by finding out the factors of 6, which are 1, 6 and 3, 2. Look at the number before the x, it is a minus 5. So the sum or the difference should give us a negative 5. Let's try this one then. Is the difference negative 5? It could be if we use x minus 6 and x plus 1. Let us expand the bracket and see whether this is correct. So x times x is x squared, x times plus 1 is plus x, minus 6x and minus 6. So when I collect the like terms, I get x squared minus 5x minus 6. I actually get the first two terms correct, but instead of a positive 6, I have a negative 6. So this actually will not work. So let us move on to the other option. So we have plus 3 and plus 2. How can I multiply two numbers to give me a positive 6? So both the numbers have to be negative. So I have x minus 3 and x minus 2. Let us expand this and check. So I have x times x, which is x squared, x times minus 2 is minus 2x, minus 3x, and finally plus 6. So collecting like terms, I get x squared minus 5x and plus 6. So therefore, x minus 3 and x minus 2 is the correct factorization of x squared minus 5x plus 6. So have a go at these practice questions. Pause the video and come back to check whether your answers are correct. Hope you got your answers correct. I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Bye.